So welcome everyone. Kelsey and Kate, I can pull you or you can unmute yourselves. So thank you all for being here. We'll continue to let anybody else in, but we want to stay on time because I know I heard from a few people, you know, you got other things to do. We get that. So thank you so much for giving up a part of your evening to be here. Especially a beautiful one at that. Originally, this was supposed to be a rainy evening, so now you are stuck with us. We will keep it brief, but we also really want to hear from you and connect with you. So welcome. Again, my name is Nick Wasmer. I am the school leader if we haven't met yet. And it's my pleasure to introduce with me here Kelsey Combs and Kate Alshire. Go ahead and say hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm, he already said my name. I'm Kelsey Combs. I'm the assistant school leader.
Hi, I'm Kate Alshire. I'm sure I've met all of you. If I haven't, it's wonderful to meet you virtually. Oh, I have two people in the chat saying they can't hear anything.
All right, I'm not sure.
I'm hoping, is anyone able to hear Mrs. Combs and myself?
Yes, I wonder if they need to make sure that they have connected.
I can hear you.
I can hear.
Okay, cool. So,
it might not be connected with audio. Kate, we've got the next parts covered if you want to try to troubleshoot with them maybe, or are you able to private chat? All right.
No, she can't
private chat.
All right,
I can use the chat function for that.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
I think I have the next slide.
Go ahead, Kelsey.
Okay, speaking of audio, we have some Zoom norms. I'm sure some of you are super familiar with Zoom, others less so. So first one, we've already talked a little bit about, just make sure that you're staying muted throughout the duration of the presentation portion so we don't have background noise. We are asking that you share your questions in the chat. We will be monitoring that and responding as quickly as we can. We will be recording this session. You should already have been notified of that when you joined. And it's amazing to see so many faces. So video on is always great, but we understand that sometimes that's not great. So if you can show us your face, great. If not, that's okay too. And if you are unable to locate the chat, it is on the bottom of your screen, little word bubble there that says chat. And there's also settings by the microphone in the left-hand corner to help with your sound and toggle on and off your video.
Thank you. So we will just cover quickly our agenda for the day. We are going to hit some highlights of the school year, the current status in the 3 areas of focus we have in social emotional learning, attendance and engagement, academics and graduation. Some of that, if you did get to watch our State of the School message and interact with that, will be a repeat, but we're doing a very condensed version of that. Senior requirements for graduation, we'll go over those. We'll go over our prom and air quotes. We will be doing it differently, but we will be doing something for our students this spring. We want to poll you. So that's part of the reason this was mandatory. We want to get as many voices as possible. We want to poll you on a graduation venue. We have a couple of options we want to vote on. And then at the end of this, and really why we want you here today, we do hope to those who can stay on the line and talk with us, the leaders and teachers of the school, about what we can do to support our students, particularly our seniors, in these last 2.5 months as we get them to the finish line of graduation. And there is work to be done, and we'll cover that, but we have some ideas about how we can get there. So I'll take, again, some of this might be reviewed, but we'll hit it quickly. So staff highlights. So we've been working extremely hard. I know I say that a lot. I've said that in newsletters, but it is true. I'm very lucky to lead such a hardworking team of individuals. They've been working really I don't know if many people had a summer, to be honest with you, because they were revamping their classes. They were trying to make them more friendly for online learning. We've been picking up and learning new strategies as we go. And so it's been a tireless effort, but there's a lot of good that can and will come out of this. And we have learned a lot of new skills in increasing online engagement. And some of that can translate even when we are in person for instruction.
Our staff have been working hard, but so have our students. They have learned so many new skills on top of the content that they've continued to learn in this new year. And so we're really, really proud of them for their persistence and their bravery and their courage to navigate this difficult time with us and to bear with us through all of the changes that goes for all of you as well, all of the parents on the call, for just being really great partners as we have navigated this year and continuing to learn and grow alongside of us.
And we've been able to do this pretty safely. I know many students have chosen to continue to learn remotely, and that's great if that's working for them. But we have been able, as we've learned more and more throughout this process, to put the protocols in place that have maintained safe learning in our school. So we know a lot of these, but we have entry procedures, bathroom use policies, social distancing, mask wearing, staggered classes, staggered start times. All of this has led to zero COVID transmissions within the school to date. We are proud of that, and we plan to continue with that mark. I'm sorry. Kelsey?
So we asked you all in the State of the School address, if you were able to watch that, to share with us some things that your student or your child has done well or has found success in this year. And we heard a lot of really great responses from a lot of you. And these were some of the big highlights you can see in the visual there. But primarily, students have, like I said, they've persisted. They've had to learn a lot of self-motivation, a lot of time management. They've had to manage a lot more responsibility. And so many students have risen to the challenge. We know that some still requires some of that support. It's really difficult to do that. And so we're also putting in as many processes and supports in place as we can to try to support students as they are navigating everything that has been different this year. That's still me.
Sorry.
I said this is me too, sorry.
Okay.
So we're going to go over some of our initiatives for social and emotional learning and what we are seeing so far and what we have been doing as a school, and sharing also some of those survey responses to this section.
So Kelsey, before you dive in here, so we're going to highlight 3 different areas. And really what we really hope to talk about this evening is, where we are as a school, but really how can you help as parents? How can we come together as a community to support our students in these different domains? So we want to talk about what we are doing, but at the end of this conversation or at the end of this presentation, we want to have a conversation about, how can we come together and really brainstorm around, like, how can we support our students? So just keep that in the back of your mind as we go through these slides. Thank you.
So in the fall and again in the spring, we administered and are going to administer a YouthTruth survey, is what it's called. And this is an opportunity for students to tell us how they feel about being a student at FlexTech. And so we gathered data in a whole bunch of different areas. And these were 2 areas that we performed relatively well in. And we know we pride ourselves on how we build relationships with students as a school. And so this is an area that we have done well in. However, we also recognize that this is also an area that we are continuing to work on and grow in as well. And so these are the things that we are doing both now and in the future in order to support our students intentionally with social and emotional learning. We have our advisory program. We have both a social worker and a counselor. there is a student-led wellness group that is hopefully launching soon. They have been busy planning on getting that started, and that's going to be called Project Peace. And it's going to be an opportunity for students to reflect on where they're at as a person and how they want to grow. And we also use restorative practices. And what this means is it's how we interact with students, and that we are developing a culture that puts the needs of students first, their need of safety, their need to feel dignified, or their need of dignity, and their need to belong. And we are striving to create processes and opportunities for students to really have that as a part of their experience as a student at FlexTech. Sorry, my dog always decides to walk around when I'm not on mute. So my apologies if you can hear him. And so these were the questions that we had asked individuals who watched the State of the School address to think about. If you haven't watched that and you would like to put some ideas in the chat at this time, please do so, and just share with us what else we can do to support your students, and also how you as parents, as family units, can also help us support students in this area. And here were some of the responses that we received on the survey. Some of these things we're really proud to say we're doing already and we're striving to do more of. And so providing opportunities for students to have more interaction, do have more things happening that are not necessarily academically related, but important to a student's development socially and emotionally. And we have started an abundance of new clubs in the recent past. So if you're a student on this call and you don't know what clubs are available to you, one, check our Instagram page because we're shouting those out regularly. And two, ask us, we'd be happy to share with you what you can get involved in.
All right, so next up, I'll talk a little bit about engagement and attendance. So we'll look at our data and how we're doing with that. So, unfortunately, we didn't do as well in this domain. So when it comes to engagement, we scored in the 48th percentile. So right in the middle of all of the schools that took this survey. And when asked students, and this was in the fall, right? So things might have changed, but they said, I enjoy school most of the time. 49% responded to that question positively. So either agreeing or strongly agreeing with that. So, that's a little disheartening to read that and see that as a school. And so we really want to think about, what can we do to change that, to help our students enjoy school most of the time? Another question we asked was, do you feel like you're part of the school community? And again, this was in the fall, but students said, I really feel like part of the school's community. They said they responded positively to that, agreeing or strongly agreeing, only 43% of the time for that. So that's an area of growth, and we can definitely see, right, there's some impact there in terms of attendance. We have a metric we use to make sure that we're having at least 2 contacts made each week with each student. That's kind of our minimal threshold, and that's actually set by the state this year for the pandemic. And that average is 78%. We really want that to be 100% of our students are engaging at least with 2 contacts per week. And you kind of see that trend. We started off in the 90s, and then it's, kind of right around that shutdown time, or actually before it, in November, we've been hovering right around the 75% mark. We're seeing a recent upward trend, so we're hoping that continues with more face-to-face options and opportunities to come into the building. We think that's attributing to that. So how are we increasing a sense of belonging? So again, we're referencing clubs because that can help build community. We have robotics, yearbook, equality club, NHS, and the wellness group. We can add the game club to that too, the gaming club. Launching a Be True to You campaign, encouraging students to be themselves. We have launched shout outs and student affirmations. Those are a part of our weekly announcements now. We are fostering a more collaborative class culture. COVID has definitely made that experience more isolating, but there are things we can do, even if students are working independently, to allow them to collaborate together. and whether that's a feedback cycle or whatever. And we are also launching a more clear anti-bullying campaign where students can have a clear path to report bullying. So those are a few things that we are doing as a school. Again, asking you to pause and reflect. What else can we do to support engagement and belonging among students? And how can you as parents partner with us to support students with engagement and belonging? Again, if you had a chance to express those thoughts in the survey, thank you. If you'd like to add anything to the chat now, please do so. So these are some of the responses that we received from the survey with the state of the school message.
Okay, I will be speaking on our academics and our graduation, which is our last little of our 3 main points that we're going to go through. So we're going to take a look at some of our data, how we're doing, and kind of how we can get some assistance from the parent and student standpoint. So we can move on to our next slide. So this is our mastery data at FlexTech. This is looking specifically at math and English. This is our percentage of students that have shown mastery like at the semester mark. So you can notice our students, we did tally it out so you can see how our blended students were doing compared to those who are fully virtual, and then our total. So across the board, we do have a lot stronger of mastery of English. I hear quite frequently from a lot of our students that math, it tends to be one of the reasons why they're switching schools and they're looking to FlexTech. We are constantly working with all of our teachers and looking at how our project-based learning can be more integrated when it comes to all of our subjects. Okay. So how are we responding as a school? So we finished out semester 1 and we realized that a lot of our students, they were hitting like that 98% completion. They were like right there on the tip. They just need a little bit more time. So we decided to give all of our students an extra marking period as a grace period. So that gave them 6 weeks to turn in semester 1 assignments in order to get credit. We also recently added the P for students who were on track to their classes prior to our switch in November, to which we had to go fully virtual. So if our students were on track at that point, we were able to give our students a P for that, and all of that is live on their transcripts right now. So you are able to log into Alma and view your students' transcript to see where they're at for that.
And we should say that even if they were already enrolled in the fully virtual program, we did extend grace that students who have completed basically 50% or more of the expectations for the course did earn a P. That will be denoted on their transcripts, but it won't hinder their progress towards graduation. It will support students in their progress towards graduation.
Yep. We have continued to offer student support team hours, Friday virtual drop-in hours. We always have our office hours, which take place every other day. And so for our blended students, that's the days that they're not sitting in class. And for our virtual students, they are welcome to reach out to their advisors, to myself, or any other members of school staff, and we'll help them to figure out what the best days are for them to come in so they can make the most of the support we have available, because we do have in-person support Monday through Thursday. Taking a look at our seniors post-secondary plans, this is something that is, this was nationally done. And so looking at pre-COVID versus the fall of 2020, there was still a large majority of students who want to attend a 4-year college, maybe a couple less looking at a 2-year college. More students were looking at a full-time job, and there was an extreme increase for the students that were unsure about this. Jobs did become a lot easier to get because they were looking for more frontline workers and things like that. And a lot of students have the uncertainty, and the anxiety has increased at this point in time with COVID. And we have seen that similarly here at FlexTech. So here at FlexTech, 59% of our students have applied to at least one college. we did go through in October, and any of our students who were blended at that point in time, we encouraged them to do an application. I sat down with almost all of our students and went through. Any students who weren't here, I encouraged them to come in my office, and we went through applications. And right now we're at a 14.3% completion rate for the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. It is not too late to go through and look at that, because even if you don't plan on going to college like as a student, or if your student doesn't plan on going to college this fall, it's still important to get the FSA ID and everything else ready. And so I'm still working with parents and families on this. Looking at our graduation status, this year we have 4 students who will be graduating early. 3 of them are from our class of 2022, and 1 of them is from the class of 2023. We have had 3 students graduate at the semester point, so they're considered our winter graduates. Right now, 43% of our students are 100% on track for graduation. 47% of them are listed as at risk of not graduating. This means they have more than the recommended number of credits at this point in time to attempt for semester 2, but it means that they could still graduate. It just requires a little more extra effort. I have met with all of these students, and they are aware of what they need to do in order to complete this. 10% of our students are not on track for graduation. That 10% of students I have also met with. You as a parent would know at this point if your student falls within that. If you are unsure, tomorrow is our senior parent advisor conference meetings. They will be going over where your student stands for graduation. If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to myself or the student's advisor.
Yep, and I'm just going to pause on this slide. I mean, this is part of the reason that we're bringing you all together right now. Right, we're at a critical point right now where this can be either an awesome story or, another disappointment. If we stay with 43% of our graduates, we will be or 43% of our seniors graduating, we will be very frustrated by that. On the flip side, we could easily see 90% of our students graduate, and that would be amazing, especially in this context. And so it's part of the reason we're bringing everyone together this evening is, what can we do, particularly looking at the 57% of students or the 47% that are at risk, right? They need to make a change right now in order to get there. We want to come together around that.
So this is what we have done as a school. So I have supported all of our students in the fall, and I will continue to support in the spring. We have used Xello, which is the platform that we use for educational development plans. And all of our students have gone through and they have done courses. They've done a few different quizzes on there to help them kind of understand what the best path could be for them outside of high school. In October, we had our college month, and we also had our FAFSA challenge month, or FAFSA challenges that we did from November up through March. So we had some parent informational meetings, student workshops. Students were able to take advantage of one-on-one meetings with myself and Mrs. Combs. I had sent out counselor newsletters with resources and supports. And then we also have our chronicle coming up, in which our students will identify their future goals and plans and look and see how it relates to what they have already done with their life and what they've done in their education. So at this point, if you had watched the State of School address, we would have had pause and reflection on this. These are the questions that we asked. If you have any advice, if you have anything that you would like to see us support our students with, or any way that you would like to support them, please drop it in the chat, let us know. These were the survey results from when the address was sent out. We had seen that more parents were asking for after school support, more face-to-face time, a countdown to the end of the year, potentially having fewer assignments and having more work time in class. And some parents were looking into a SIFN study, which was a peer tutoring work time. So looking at graduation requirements here at FlexTech, it does look different from the schools in which your students have either come to us from or the school that they may have been on track with for previously. So here at FlexTech, we require all of our seniors to have their advisory credit. in order for them to get that, they must participate in the Senior Chronicles, which will be happening on May 4th. They need to participate in Project Showcase, and they need to work with their advisor on their purposeful action project. This is all stuff that we have built into our curriculum. We are not expecting them to go out, and this isn't anything else additional. This is stuff that all of our seniors have done. It's no additional work compared to previous years. I want to stress that. This is all stuff our kids have known is happening. It's stuff they've seen that their peers have done in previous years. And then our traditional academic requirements, which are going to be the same standard throughout any school in the state of Michigan. Your 4 years of math, English, 3 of science, social studies, 2 of a world language, a visual performing art, and then the half a credit of health, half in PE.
Real quick, I do want to clarify that the requirements for graduation are a little bit different for students who are fully virtual. So make sure that if you are a parent of a student who is fully virtual, that you are talking to that student's advisor to really make sure that you know exactly what your student is required to do to participate in graduation.
All right, now I know we saved this for the end of the presentation portion of our meeting, and that is to talk about some events, so graduation and prom. So I'll talk about graduation first. Typically we look at, or we usually host our graduation at 242 Community Center. We weren't able to do that last June. We held a virtual graduation instead with a parking lot party. It does not look like we'll be able to do that again this June. They're not taking reservations for indoor events at this time. So we are exploring outdoor venues for the graduation ceremony. I've kind of narrowed it down to 2. So one is Lake Trust Stadium at Cleary University, and that is in Howell, Michigan. So sorry, the photos are a little grainy, but this would be the venue. The idea would be that parents mostly would sit in the seats of the stadium, socially distanced, and there would likely be a limit of 2, possibly 3 guests per graduate with this. We could still live broadcast the event for those that want to attend virtually though. There would be a stage somewhere, around somewhere in the diamond here, and then we'd have seating for the graduates in front of that. So that is one option. The other option, and so we're in discussions with Cleary University around that possibility. The other option is the Mill Pond. So for those of you from Brighton, you're probably familiar, but this is a recently renovated amphitheater in downtown Brighton called AMP, so the Amphitheater at the Mill Pond. So a little grainy again, but the stage is here. Graduates and staff would be seated in this section here. And so most of the parents would be seated across from the pond, or the spectators, I can say, would be kind of seated on the other side of the pond here. This photo is kind of taken from that perspective of what you'd see there. We will have a vote. That's what we're building towards. So we really narrowed it down to these 2 venues. At this time, we do believe we could make either happen. And we will be putting this to a vote right now. So I can't see my controls there. Kelsey, maybe you can put it in the chat. So you can either do this from your phone. So sorry, it's set up through my account. So this is called a poll everywhere. You can text Nick Wasmer 440, and I'm sorry, to minimize this because my controls are, so Nick Wasmer 440 to 37607, or you can go to the link that Kelsey put in the chat, pollev.com/Nick Wasmer 440. We can do that now.
Sorry, Nick, people have questions about how many people might we be able to fit at the Mill Pond?
So we are trying to determine if that would be a ticketed event or if that would be open to the public. I would say it is likely we'll be able to have more people there than we would at Cleary. similar situation where we would ask families to cluster together and then socially distance between themselves. You know, hard to say what the mandates will be then, but likely expect to that masks will be required, and then you can sit close together within your family unit, but then you should be socially distanced from that. And yes, it is probably more likely that we could have more space at the mill pond for grandparents and others to join, although I would say we would also plan on live broadcasting the event, or at least recording it and sharing that later.
I appreciate everyone putting their idea in the chat. Please make sure that you're utilizing this poll because we'll download the chat, but we would like to have everything in one place rather than multiple places. So if you make sure you text the number or you can go to the link. I will post it again. We have not polled students yet. So this is the first, if there are students on this call, this is the first time they have heard about these options as well. That's not to say that we won't poll the students, but we have not done that yet at this point.
Yes, we do plan to listen to students as well. We recognize that this is as much for the parents as it is for the students. All right, so we can see right now, you know, this is not by any means a final decision. Please cast your vote if you can. We'll give it a few more moments here. If you're unable to get the link there, if you can see that at the top, it does. You can also text Nick Wasmer 440, and I actually can't see those numbers. Is it 57007? It's cut off for me. All right, we will not lock this, so you can continue to cast your vote. We just wanted to get a sense of what our parents were thinking there. Good question. So question in the chat, what time would this be? So this would still likely be an evening event. Tentatively, we still have June 3rd is likely available at both of these venues. That's a Thursday with a start time probably around 5 p.m. We would have a rain makeup day, given that it's an outdoor venue, of the following week, but we haven't set that yet. It would probably be like the Tuesday of the following week. And thank you for the recommendation for the Milford Amphitheater. To be honest with you, that wasn't on our radar. So we can and will check that out if that allows for more capacity.
If anyone has a contact in Milford that we can reach out to, please feel free to email us with that. So
yeah,
we can.
So part of the reason we've made these connections, these are direct ties with our board members, connections that we made that way. So we do, you know, we have a budget. We can always fundraise, but we have a budget. And so we're trying to explore connections where we can to get the most for our budget. All right, thank you all for casting your vote. Again, this isn't locked, so if you haven't voted yet, please do that. Wait, do I have to lock it in order to continue?
You shouldn't have to. You might just need to minimize the presentation and then jump back into it.
Okay. All right, on to prom.
Okay.
Sorry, there's a hand up. Kim, did you have a question? All right, Kelsey, go ahead.
Okay, so we're calling this prom in the parentheses because there will be some limitations and it won't be centered around dancing like proms are traditionally centered around. So instead, we are planning on hosting an outdoor dinner event and encouraging students to still dress up and have a good time with it, but just minus the dancing part that is typically associated with prom. This is also brand new information that has not been shared widely with students yet and will be shared with them in the very near future. The plan right now is for this to take place on May 6th, which is a Thursday, with a rain date of May 7th. And we're looking into food truck possibilities as the food option. So we have talked to are in the process of talking to Rolling Stone Wood Fired Pizza, which is actually a family company. So I'm hoping that that works out, and then looking into potentially reaching out to Peace Love Tacos for a taco option, and also having some other food there for students as well. We are also hoping to include some other activities that students can participate in while also being safe. And so those may include lawn games. These are student generated with our Link crew, our leadership class as well. So lawn games, a raffle, and a photo booth. And there will be more details on this as it comes up, but we just wanted you all to be aware that we are talking about it. We are looking for ways to make some type of celebratory event possible for our students. Good Sense Coffee could be awesome. If anyone has a connection to them, please send it to me. I would be happy to reach out.
Yeah, so no poll for this one, but if there's any feedback, thoughts, suggestions, comments, please drop them in the chat. It could be fun.
Live trivia could be awesome.
Yeah, good idea. Okay, so this is the conclusion of our presentation portion of our meeting. We are asking those who are willing and able to stay on for this next portion. This is where we'd like to really hear from parents and really dig in with, is there something more that we can do, come together as a community, whether that's an event or a different way or different supports, fundraising, whatever it might be, to support our seniors towards graduation.